So my next major project was to figure out where the brake and the brake line was. So, all right, the first thing I did, I took fresh brake fluid and filled up master cylinder reservoir, filled it up to the top. As you can see, it's already went down quite a bit. Got into the car, pumped up the brakes. Obviously, if there's a brake, it's going to be leaking somewhere. And if there's enough, you'll be able to see it on the ground. So let me get into the car. All right, found the leak. It's right here. So the next step is to jack up the car and take a look. So what we're looking at is you can see this is the brake line coming from running along the length of the car. Comes up here, goes around. So over here, this is your brake line to the brake caliper. But you also have this, which is the hose that connects the left and right. It goes up here. I follow this down. Through here. Let's see. And I can feel the brake line. And you can see the wetness on my glove. So that's where we have the brake line leak. It's actually the line that runs from the driver's side wheel to the passenger's side wheel. So I want to use some PB Blaster. I'm gonna have to break that line nut loose. That line has to come out and be replaced. I have a line wrench. It's going to be either a 1/2 inch. Yeah, it's a 1/2 inch line wrench. You can see it's got a lot more grip on the nut, less likely to round it out. So I'm going to let the PB Blaster sit on it before I try to break it loose. So do this at your own risk. I put a jack handle breaker on a 12mm line wrench to break it loose, and I use slow and even pressure, and it broke the nut loose without breaking anything. So I don't think this has been off in 30 years, probably since when it was put on in the factory, and obviously it's corroded and rusted through. So if mine broke free like that, yours most likely will too. And then the next part of this line here, this brake hose, needs to be replaced too. I mean, even if it looks pliable on the outside, it's I assure you it's probably not allowing brake fluid through. So I got lucky and I tried to loosen up that nut here, that brake line. I was able to get it from underneath, and fortunately it was not corroded, and I was able to just open it up. So that's going to have to come out. This comes off. This will be part of the new brake line, or the brake hose. So that will be replaced. This brake line that goes over to the passenger side rear, that entire line will be replaced. This guy right here, 7mm, holds that bracket to the frame. So we'll go ahead and take that off. So once you get that bolt out, it gives you a little bit more play, so you can get in there and work with what you need to. Always put a pan under there, try to catch the fluid, unless you are okay with making a mess out of everything. Also, I got the jack. Just want to always make sure you use jack stands. You don't want this thing falling on you. It's not worth your life or a limb or a hand. to save a few bucks by doing it yourself. So I finished unscrewing that sucker. Again, this end, another 7mm bolt. No, I take that back. This is a little bit, it's probably an 8mm bolt. So it's going to come out, and this hose will come off. Take this little piece off. We're going to reuse that as long as we get it off without damaging it. And yeah, I'll keep you updated. So what I did, I flipped that bracket around. So this piece that used to be on the inside is now facing the outside of the car. Secured it, and then again used a line wrench and a jack handle to break the nut free because it's on there, and I'd like to reuse that line. So what I want to do is, obviously you can see this brake hose. I mean, it's a little dirty, but it seems to be pliable, and there's no cracks in it. Doesn't look bad, but I'm not gonna put that back on. So I'm gonna cut it in half so we can see what it looks like on the inside. So I cut that sucker in half so we can see what it looks like on the inside. It actually doesn't look, I don't think it looks too bad. I mean, obviously it wasn't completely closed off. A lot of times they get like bloated, but it looks like there's some type of, there's several layers of metal to protect the brake line, so you're not just going to hit a brake line that explodes on its own without putting some force on it. So that's what it looks like. I got a new one, and if the job's worth doing, do it right. It really comes down to the safety. So I'm going to replace the brake hose, but as you can see, I mean, you can't get to that nut back there. It's impossible. So what I'm going to do is take that off, obviously. Take it off at, at the caliper. There's another bracket here. And then we're just going to take that whole block off, and then we could deal with how it connects once it's out and free, and we'll do our repairs outside of the vehicle and then reinsert it. Alright, so I got all the brake hose off the driver's side rear, took the brake line out, took everything apart. This is the old brake line, or the brake hose. This is what comes in the new one. So the bracket, which fits on the end here, to take this clip off, just use pliers and pull that sucker off. And then this was corroded on there pretty good. I had to use a pair of pliers and a hammer and give it a couple good whacks to break it loose, break it off, because we're going to reuse this this bracket for the new one. There's the new hose, so the bracket's going to slide on there, and then it actually comes with a new clip. So that's where we're at. And then once we connect all that back up, obviously I want to take apart this brake caliper while it's all apart, and clean it all up before we put it back together, and then we'll know that the driver's side rear is has been completely rebuilt. And then we'll continue on going over to move this other brake line, replacing this sucker, because this is the bad brake line that was causing all of our problems.